Good afternoon and welcome to 5 at 5 on Cloud 9 on ACTN The Voice. I am Sheldon Yearwood and thank you for joining us. In our first story, we don't usually like starting like this, but this is what's happening in our country today. It's been a month of tears and fears for citizens as once again another individual has been brutally murdered. This time it's Garth Sansan, 28 of Matchak Street, Foster Road, Sangre Grande, who was shot multiple times, including in his head on Tuesday morning. Reports indicate that his 17-year-old girlfriend told police they were asleep in his one-room apartment when she was awakened by explosions at around 1:30 a.m. Moments later, she said she felt Sansan shaking, and as she looked over, she saw blood oozing from his head. Police officers of the Sangre Grande CID responded and paramedics took him to the Sangre Grande hospital where he died around 4:30 a.m. The murder toll now stands at 46. Investigations are continuing. I like the story. All you're too nasty. Hold on, you'll understand where that came from. These were the very honest words from a woman to a group of men who were caught on camera dumping tires. Now, Gordon said the video showed one man calmly offloading tires by the roadway in South Trinidad, whilst the woman's voice could be heard chastising them, stating that they are what is wrong with the country. After a shameful silence, he says, "You don't know what you're talking about," gloves and all on his hand. Well, Kazim Hussein, Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, ordered a crackdown on illegal dumping after the video was brought to his attention, which has since gone viral. In a statement issued Tuesday, Hussein said he is calling on public health departments and litter wardens to enforce laws against illegal dumping. Hussein is calling on the public health departments and the wardens as well in all 14 municipal corporations to tackle the problem of illegal dumping across the country. He says this indicates that illegal dumping is a rampant problem and that the perpetrators have blatantly disrespected everyone and all the laws in this country. Minister Karim says they have reached out to the corporations to ensure that the public health departments and the wardens will investigate this and all cases of illegal dumping, find the responsible parties and bring them to justice. The minister is reminding the public that illegal dumping, along with being unsightly, brings with it a host of public health problems, such as encouraging breeding grounds for mosquitoes, rodents, and other vermin, creating hazardous spaces close to residential areas, blocking watercourses and rivers, and causing fire hazards. I'm going to show you something later on in relation to that after the break. In other news at this time, there have been more than 13,000 cases of abuse reported to the Children's Authority within the last 5 years. But that's not the scary part. The scary part is that there are still many areas in the country that has a high level of underreporting. Now, the authority released the figures today stating that they are very concerned about the silence in such a deafening situation by family, friends, and the wider community. The East-West corridor in particular is an area that has had a very high number of reported cases. As such, some of the areas where there have been reports of underreporting are San Juan Laventille, Tunapuna Piarco, and also Sangre Grande. The authority said they are pleading with the public to assist them in reporting these cases of abuse. They said they are not in the habit of rooting people out of homes, but where it needs to be done, they will do whatever it takes to secure the victim. In other news, over 800 men and women have answered the call to serve this country as municipal officers. It was a welcoming sight for the Minister of Local Government, Kazim Hussein, who says this is something he has been praying about for years. Maintaining law and order within our city and boroughs has been a challenge, particularly when the police service is already stretched to capacity. Speaking at another leg of registration at the Port of Spain City Corporation today, he says this will now provide more power to the regional corporations. He says the plan is to place 100 officers in each of the corporations. Thus far, they've had applicants registering in San Fernando, Point Fortin, and Arima. Joel Martinez, Mayor of Port of Spain, said the officers will be working in the confinements of the corporation. He says this is the distinct difference between municipal officers and other officers in that they must stay within the boundaries of the corporation they are under. Martinez said the city burgesses must be well taken care of due to rising crime levels in the area. International news now, and we've had the pleasure of having this man grace our soil. We say farewell today to a jazz legend. Hugh Masekela first picked up a trumpet in the 1950s, a time when the color of his skin meant he was no more than a second-class citizen in his own country, South Africa. Over the following decades, he would become known across the world for both his music and his role as an anti-apartheid activist. Indeed, songs like Soweto Blues would provide the soundtrack of the movement. By the time of his death at the age of 78, almost 30 years after the fall of white minority rule, he was revered as South Africa's father of jazz. We have more in this tribute from the BBC.
The trumpet has fallen silent. The passing of Hugh Masekela has shocked many across the country and around the world. Bra Hugh, as he was affectionately known, has been described as the epitome of a life lived in full. He was a family man, a world-renowned artist, a philanthropist, and a political activist. The 78-year-old was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2008 and had put up a fierce fight until then. But last October, he was forced to cancel all his concerts and focus on his health. Fellow musician and friend Yvonne Chaka Chaka says Africa has lost its greatest treasure.
I think Uncle Hugh was a living legend. He may be gone, but his music will always be there. The world has lost a great icon, the world has lost a leader, the world has lost a comedian, because he was hilarious. Where there was Uncle Hugh, there was just laughter all the time. And I don't know what to say. I'm just heartbroken, I'm upset, but I'll remember all the good things that he did. Whether you were young, whether you're a diplomat, whether you're a king, whether you are a leader or a street person, we were all equal in Hugh's face. And he would greet everybody and talk to anybody.
And I lived in Guinea, I lived in Liberia, I lived in Senegal,
At the height of white oppression in South Africa, for many black musicians, jazz became soundtrack of the resistance. Masekela was forced into exile as political and racial tensions intensified, but once he had returned, he was determined to make a difference.
I had sourced so much from Africa, and I need to pay it back. And the only way to pay it back, I think, is by making the people see how wonderful they are and how excellent they are.
Hugh Masekela described himself as a troublesome child and spoke openly about the many times music saved his life, even later on at the height of a drug addiction. This picture marks one of the moments it all began, when a missionary who was stationed here in South Africa, Father Trevor Huddleston, gave him his first trumpet. With that, the music legend was born. He was an unlikely ally at the height of racial oppression here in South Africa. Masekela continued to use his voice over the years to speak truth to power. Phumza Fihlani, BBC News, Johannesburg.
All right, there you have it, of course, special tribute to the late Hugh Masekela. Again, he graced our shores a couple of years ago. And if you look on social media in terms of people within this country, several pictures who would have had the opportunity to meet with him and, of course, gain from his wisdom. So rest in peace to the late great musician from South Africa. Let's take a short break. Going back, I want to touch on the illegal dumping issue just for a few minutes before we invite our special guest, the chairman of the United National Congress, Dr. David Lee. We continue our talk about crime in the country. Crime and politics is the theme of the show today. We're going to deal with some of the issues we're facing in TNT. But first, there's another type of crime that we're not facing, and that's illegal dumping. You saw the story earlier on. I want to bring your attention to this clip that was given to me. I'm going to see it after this break. We'll be right back.
This is Apostle Judy Karim of the Greater Love Christian Center, inviting you to join us every second and last Tuesday of the month on ACTN The Voice, as we bring to you the Word of God that will challenge you, bless you, and take you into your greatest life ever.
All right, welcome back to Cloud 9 on ACT and The Voice. Thank you for staying with us. You can join us live on Facebook, that is. Mention our topic is crime and politics. We had a very interesting week thus far. As a matter of fact, due to public demand, people have been asking, they sent messages. For those who probably saw the promo, didn't get a chance to see the actual show itself, they asked when we're showing it again. So I didn't have a stipulated time for it to play it back, but since people are asking, we're going to show it back this week. So tomorrow and Thursday, you will see the encore presentation of the interviews with the head of the Open Bible Church, the Elder National Director, Reverend Benjamin Agard. That will be shown tomorrow, right, at 5 p.m. And on Thursday, Reverend Nicole Balsing-Holder, her interview, that will be shown on Thursday for those who missed it, tomorrow and Thursday at 5 p.m. right here on Cloud 9. As I mentioned yesterday, we had Commander here. We spoke to him, and today, Mr. David Lee. But first, let's go to our Wise Up segment. I want to, show you this video. Let's go, guys. All right. Now, I always say that, when we're looking at issues that are affecting us in the country, I think the operative word here is us. And we tend to get all of a sudden, singular, when this happens. At the end of the day, it affects us all. And there are things that people are doing that, we want to blame everybody for it, but we all have a part. Let's go to this video now. Let's go to this video. So Bobby singing, this is actually, no, not this one. This is the guy. The guy, yeah. Right, so let me just give you a little synopsis of what this, not this one, this is the one with the tires, but this other video that you're going to see, this is actually a young man who came across some, garbage, but he referred to it as something different. So let's go to that clip now, if we can.
So, one of the things I love about Trinidad is its beauty. I mean, just like, look at these mountains here. Like, you want to tell me that's not absolutely gorgeous? But in all of this beauty, we have some nasty people who have absolutely no respect for the environment. And instead of taking their junk to the dump, they just come along the southern main road, close to where Curep is, and just decide to dump all their housewares. I'm talking washing machine, TV, clothes, cushions. They just decide to dump all their housewares on the side of the road. I mean, come on, Trinidad, we need to do better than this. Is it that hard to respect the environment? Why can't we just follow rules? Why can't we just follow the laws? But instead, we always wanna complain that the government not doing this, we're not doing that. But we at the same time, we're not even taking the time to do right by our country. And we've been given multiple opportunities to do right, but yet we continue to do this. Come on, Trinidad, we need to do better than that.
So if your eyes weren't deceiving you, there was a refrigerator, I think there was a stove, there was a chest of drawer, and if you had blinked twice, you might have seen a house. Yeah, because basically I don't know, because that dumping houses just now at the rate we're going. And this is my thing though. We want to blame everyone. We want to blame the moon, the stars. God, He may forgive us a chance. But we will make a statement, it's affecting us. But when we make the error, we pull ourselves out of the equation. We suddenly start minusing and not adding. And when we do that, we end up dividing ourselves. I would say something. Anyhow, why are we so foolish? I ask myself the question. So we're going to move on, take a break. Crime and politics. Trinidad and Tobago, we are dealing with some serious issues in our country at this time. We need solutions. Not just talk, we need solutions. Mr. David Lee joins us on set, the chairman of the United National Congress. We'll be right back.
It brings you to the source that the status and the condition of God's people determines the environment and the atmosphere of a nation.
To take God almost out of the curriculum. And Rashoti, in one of his great calypso says, you kick the creator out. They didn't want his name in their mouth.
This is Apostle Judy Karim of the Greater Love Christian Center, inviting you to join us every second and last Tuesday of the month on ACTN The Voice, as we bring to you the Word of God that will challenge you, bless you, and take you into your greatest life ever. This is Apostle Judy Karim of the Greater Love Christian Center, inviting you to join us every second and last Tuesday of the month on ACTN The Voice, as we bring to you the Word of God that will challenge you, bless you, and take you into your greatest life ever.
Welcome back to Cloud9 on ACTN The Voice. Remember, you can join the discussion on our Facebook Live at ACTN The Voice. Our topic, crime and politics. Let's go to our Let's Chat segment. We introduce our special guest for this afternoon. All right, welcome back. So someone can wait but to jump on the chat and saying that they're not getting locked up. Well, all right. So and let's welcome at this time the chairman of the United National Congress, Mr. David Lee. Dr. David Lee.
Thank you,
Mr.
Sheldon.
Doctor. Yes,
Thank you so
like
much and welcome. But let me correct you at the beginning. Last time I was on your show, we were going through an internal election, and I was the chairman at that point in time.
Oh, correct.
And I now the deputy political leader.
My humblest.
So that there's a new chairman. And
that is
I've
so much been going on. That's right.
I've shifted positions as deputy political.
Well, let me officially congratulate you.
Thank you.
Yes, that is very true. He's the deputy political leader of the United National Congress, Mr. David Lee.
It was a pleasure being here last time. And let me also wish your viewers out there a very bright and better 2018 and less crime in Trinidad and Tobago for 2018, if that's possible.
It's very possible with God, you know. And so let's first, we're correcting it, deputy political leader of the United National Congress. Crime and politics. You know what's scary, Dr. Lee? It rolls off my tongue. That's scary. Crime and politics should not roll off my tongue like that. And I'm saying that because when people look at crime for some reason, because of history, because of what's happening in the now, and what they're seeing around the world, is like, if crime is here, politics is not far away.
Yeah.
How do you feel as a politician when people find it hard to trust? And I'm saying generally, our leaders, this is about 50 years plus, and I'm yet to see someone say, despite who they may support, that I 100% support. Very few, there are some, but very few. How do you feel when that's the mood of the country?
Well, Sheldon, to be honest with you, I'm disheartened when you start off and saying that when coming out of your tongue, you're rolling out of your tongue,
No,
it's crime and
scary
politics.
for me.
It is scary.
It's scary for me.
And that is something that politics of Trinidad and Tobago and throughout the world, it doesn't only affect Trinidad and Tobago, how people feel about politicians. You know, it is something that is ongoing. I would say as a young politician, it's a work in progress. It's sad to really equate crime with politics. I feel it should not be considered. It's two separate issues entirely. But if the people of the country feels that somehow politics and crime is related, then we're in a very, very sad state of affairs in this country. Crime is something that affects each and every one of us. Let me start off by saying some members of my team, of our team, the opposition team, have been affected in crime in the last 2 years. MP Barry Padara, home while he was having a prayers, criminal elements came in at that point in time. You have the MP for Cuba North, Ramona Ramdial, her house was broken into. The MP for Caroni Central, Dr. Bohendra Tiwari, home was also invaded. So it affects, it is not
everyone.
Politicians are not immune to crime. It's sad to say, but it impacts us as normal people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Where have we gone wrong as leaders? Where have we gone wrong that people are starting to lose trust?
I think we really reach a stage that we really need to not play the politics in crime. And as the opposition leader, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, had recently stated that we should really be non-political, bipartisan, and really having a proper discourse with the government of the day in trying to come together as one, along with other stakeholders in the country. There are many other stakeholders. The politicians of the day that are in the House and in the Senate don't profess to be the be-all and end-all and know the solution for crime. So that is an opportunity where we can bring all stakeholders together and really try to solve crime. But solving crime and putting a dent in the crime, also the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago really have to feel comfortable that they can come forward with information to the respective agencies, be it the police and so forth. And we must also have proper, strong institutions for like witness protection programs and so forth, that individuals who come forward with information can feel free and secure that their lives would not be threatened, and so that we can really have an impact and make a dent in crime. Because we all know, I think we all know who are the elements in certain areas in Trinidad and Tobago.
Granted.
It's not unknown to the authorities, but somehow the will or the desire is not there to try and make a dent in crime.
But we have to take a very short break. But that will and desire, something has to affect or impact, or negatively affect rather, that lack of will. And when we come back, we'll probably discuss what those things could be and how we could reverse or turn the tide. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back after this very short break. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Reverend Valerie Ramkalawan from the Christ Approved Revival Tabernacle. You can tune on every first and last Wednesday of the month on ACTN The Voice. And I'm there 10:30 p.m. 15 minutes, you can tune on and you can be filled with the word of the Lord. Come on and be a part of this station. In Jesus' name, God bless you.
Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to another edition of Scoreboard here on ACT, and it's always a pleasure to be in your company every Tuesday evening between the hours of 8 and 9.
Welcome to the new season of Football 101. I am your host, Joshua DeMatos.
Well, it's time for your weekly football news update. I love you, Messi.
Unfortunately, kiss the badge, kiss the badge. Oh, what's that?
Welcome to this edition of the interview, and as you can see, I'm not alone on the set. I have Marcus, a Liverpool fan, and I have Shakir.
Welcome back to Cloud 9 on ACT on The Voice. I'm here with the deputy. You have to say the deputy with some depth. Political leader of the United National Congress. Good friend of mine, talked to David Lee. And before the break, we're talking about the will of the leader. And when I was speaking to Commander Hira yesterday, he mentioned about engaging the public. And I made the reference that for many members of the public, they want to be close to their leaders, their representatives. They want to be, but there seems to be this very blurry line, or very, very dark blurry line that separates them from their leaders, and they feel that they will not be heard or they can't trust. They want to be engaged. The public, we have a very intelligent public. They know what they want. They know how they feel. And for some reason, when they feel cut off, that trust goes out the window. How do we now engage our population more? Because they want to be engaged. When you watch social media, they want to be engaged, but are we engaging them?
Well, Sheldon, I think social media is now an avenue that the John public uses a lot to engage their particular leaders. It is so powerful a tool that they are now actually they're able to vent how they literally feel about their leaders and the decisions and whatever policies and discussions that their leaders not only be the Prime Minister or the leader of the opposition. I think all MPs are leaders in their right, ministers are leaders. And in the past, I would say there was a void because of the not having social media and not being able to have access to some of your MPs or ministers and so on. But now with the engagement of social media, you actually see the effects and the powerful tool it is that a lot of people and leaders are actually paying attention to what is said on social media in a way. But coming back to the people having a voice, Sheldon, and especially as we're talking about crime, it's funny that the people want to have a voice. And there's so many different public discussions and consultations. For example, crime. Recently we had one in the Claxton Bay area, hosted by the St. Margaret's Police Station with myself and the councillors and so forth. Because crime has been, over the last, and I don't want to play the politics, over the last 27 months, crime has taken an upswing in the Marabella, Pointe-a-Pierre, Claxton Bay area. And that's a fact.
Yeah, you've seen the figures. Yeah,
that's a fact. All right, and so the police on their initiative was holding stakeholders consulting with the public. And the poor turnout of that meeting, and it's about 2 other meetings we have had before in the last 12 months, the poor turnout of those meetings leaves much to be desired.
But there would have been factors that lead to that poor turnout. One of them being fair, another being maybe I would have come maybe 10, 15, 20 meetings before and nothing happened. So I'm just saying there would be factors that will have to be addressed as to why.
Well, but the flip side of that is that the police now who is in attendance would say to the small audience that is large, say, well, by your turnout means things are nice in Claxon Bay and Marabella. Crime is down because you don't have any concern. So there's the flip side of that, where the police, when they're doing their analysis and analyzing their meetings and so forth, and trying to come up with their reports and their nice reports, would say, well, things are nice because we had consultation meetings with John Public in the Claxon Bay and the residents, and the attendance was very small. And so that says to them, if they can take it to the extreme, well, they don't have any complaints. But yet crime is rampant throughout Marabella and Claxon Bay and Gopal lands, and not only in my particular area, Pointe-a-Pierre, but throughout Trinidad and Tobago. So no one is untouched. And you know, the sad thing about it is that recently in the Gopal lands area, we had a major incident where a household was robbed. A young individual was shot by the police, one of the intruders, and they're all from the Marabella, Gopal lands area. And you know, what is so disheartening is that the crimes are being committed, most of the crimes are being committed, from what I've been told, from people within your own area that you would have been seeing on a day-to-day basis, interacting in some way or the other at some point in time. And these are the people that, you know, that are committing the crime in a particular area, and they are known to the police. So when one of your social media wrote and said they're not being locked up, I was sad to say that's a fact. But then there's the other aspect of the judiciary and the magistracy and so forth, which is an entirely different institution that you know, some people say it leaves much to be desired, given the kind of you know, rulings that certain magistrates would give, and sometimes how easy it is to get back out on bail. So that, you know, it is frightening. It is frightening.
I am sure you would have had your own constituents come to you, angry, sad, concerned, as the case may be. What do you, Dr. David Lee, will say to them, to say, listen, to reassure them? What is your approach of gaining the trust of those who are looking at you as an exemplar and someone who, you know what, I want you to seek the best interests of my needs and my family needs? Because there are some who, number one, they don't go to the MP because they don't trust them. Number two, they go just because somebody said to go, but in their heart they're going with that mindset already. You know what? They speak death into it even before, because they just believe it's not going to make sense. How do you turn that around? What do you tell them?
Well, Sheldon, to be honest with you, that's a difficult question, because I am no different than the individual coming to see me. While the individual might come and see me as a member of Parliament for Pointe-a-Pierre, or even Deputy Political of the United National Congress, all right, I don't profess to know the answer. What I will try to do is to work with the individuals and the families with the different. If it's a crime issue, I will try to get the police involved. And it's really about building trust and being the bridge between the authorities and the individuals. And even in simple things that issues that they might have within the constituency. Being an opposition member of Parliament, it is really, really tough. Certain conditions that the constituents are crying out for.
You may not have access to certain,
I am powerless in a sense. I literally have to beg the ministers, whether the National Security Minister, whether the Minister of Works and Transport, to assist the constituents, because I don't try to play the politics. I don't ask who you are, what political party you belong to. I represent a constituency in its whole. All right. So when I ask for it as a whole, because the roads, crime, water, lights has no political affiliation. It impacts everyone. So that It is a difficult question. It's a work in progress and try to build a trust and to build comfort with the individual.
I'll tell you why I asked that, and I'm saying this because I want people to hear where I'm going with this. Is about accountability and transparency. And I think one of the concerns people have is that for too long they have not been able to, bridge the gap between them and their representatives. Today is your
constituency day. That's why you see me.
That's why I asked that, because I have had many people would call. This was in the years gone by, and that's had win, or they will text me on Facebook now, and with complaints that they can't see the MP. And this is on both sides, government as well as they can't see the MP. When they call nobody in the office.
No.
And
that does not relate to David Lee.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why I asked the question.
I have 2 offices.
So just being there, they would feel some level of, okay, he's a man of his word or she's a man of her word. And that tends to be the problem. They cannot hold their representatives to their word that I'll be there for you.
I'll give you a simple example how I lead. By example, my main office is in Macaulay Main Road. I'll just digress a bit. It is one of the worst pieces of road in this particular area in the south part. I drive on it every day when I go to my office. My car goes and it feels the potholes, and I cringe just like all the other people who traverse that piece of road. And I understand it's difficult in Trinidad and Tobago with this present government economically. And I have asked and pleaded and begged, literally begged, the Minister of Works and Transport to assist the community, not only because that is a piece of road, that's a main road, I would say, that takes you from the southern main road to the highway. So trucks and trailers and normal people traverse that road. And I'm saying to him, just patch the potholes. And I've been begging him. 2 ministers have changed Ministry of Works and Transport in the last 18 months or so. And up to today, I cannot even get that for my constituents. A simple patching of potholes. I'm not even asking for the roads to be repaired, because I understand the financial constraints they have. And that transgresses to everything. It transgresses to police patrols. It transgresses to just trying to make life easier for constituents. For example, with crime, we have certain parks and playgrounds that is not being kept and not being maintained, so that people can't even go in those particular areas to even de-stress, communicate with other communities, with other constituents, have a feel for life outside of their working environment. And that all impacts on the different ministries who are not even really giving the country the basic needs that the people require.
Local government reform continues to be a topic of conversation.
It's just conversation.
Just conversation.
It's just right? Conversation.
And I'm saying that because, Mr. Panley is one, he has been talking about this for years.
Just conversation.
And we have to give credit where credit is due. He is on the button when it comes to dealing with this. And I'm saying that from a local government perspective, because, they are the ones who, again, will be charged with the responsibility to deal with it. Is it still a challenge? Are you still seeing discrepancies in terms of disbursement and so forth?
The equity is not there. I know I'll be beaten up for that and saying, well, when the PP was in government,
they would say the same thing. Yeah, discrepancies as well. So how do you respond to that?
But I beg to differ. You would have seen the particular constituents or the different corporations that when the PP was in government, that was neglected in the past by the past government. So they had to fix those areas. Even in my own constituencies, a lot still have to be done. A lot of the infrastructure has to be in there. We still suffer from flooding. So it's not to say that Pointe-a-Pierre had gotten, because Mr. McLeod, the last MP, was there and he was part of the PP government, that he did everything for Pointe-a-Pierre. Because you had to share equally throughout Trinidad and Tobago. So that Pointe-a-Pierre got some stuff, but there's still a lot more work to be done. And I can't do it alone because I'm not a minister. I depend on the different ministries to assist the community. And it's not about David Lee. It's not about assisting David Lee. It's really about assisting the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago. So because I'm in opposition, and I might say it this way, that the government of the day might feel that they're playing the politics with David Lee as being the MP for Pointe-a-Pierre. You're really affecting the lives of the people of Pointe-a-Pierre, or the citizens throughout Trinidad and Tobago. And crime is something that is rampant. We need to control it. And I am saying, we feel the opposition feels it's time now that we really have healthy discourse with the government, not lip service. I mean, we have been saying that for the last 27 months in Parliament. Let us sit down and discuss. Let us not come into the House and the chamber and get into the Gael as Minister Imbert refers it to. Let us not go into that Gael situation, right? Let us have proper discourse, healthy debates, and then we could come out with good legislation for the betterment of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, not all legislation that one would pass in Parliament would be effective. It's as everything else, is a trial and error. All right, so you'll hope that you always come out on top with pieces of legislation that you would pass and be effective, and the different authorities would put it to good use, and we move on from there, and we grow from that. But the way we have to grow is really to have proper bipartisan discussions with the government of the day, with different stakeholders. Let them come on board and really take their advice and move the country forward, and not play the he she blame, you know. And for the good of the country. I think the country is at a point now that we really need to have proper discourse with all parties involved, and for the good of the country. We are a blessed country. We are. I mean, I always say, when I leave this country, I always look forward to coming back home, and that should not stop in any one of us. All right, it's always good to get out of the country, but it's always nice to come back home. And we need to stop. We as a community, as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, should be proud of our country. Even I'll give you an example, even littering.
We highlighted that
littering.
Yeah.
I noticed coming to my constituency today from the Forest Park area when I come on the Claxon Bay exit. I noticed there's a lonely piece of road that now is littered with garbage. And that tells me about not my constituents. I mean, I don't know who do it.
It could be anyone.
It could be anyone, all right? Because they feel, why? Is it because the sanitation trucks are not regularly picking up as they're supposed to? So, you know, we might look at it from an easy point of view and blame the citizens. But you really have to ask yourself, are things really in place?
I think we've become so disconnected from the school system, communities, families. We've become so disconnected, and like I always say, we've taken God out of everything, and then we expect things to go right. Correct. And you're seeing that disconnect now in a simple case of throwing a bottle out of your car. It shows that there's a disconnect in terms of, again, accountability for what you do. Yeah. Let's take a short break. Come back. I want to touch on a very important piece of legislation for Friday that will be tabled. ISIS, and I really want to congratulate the opposition and the government, you know, again, on the coming together for the election of a new president. I think it's a step in the right direction. In the parties coming together for the betterment of the country. When we come back, it's all about ISIS.
It brings you to the source that the status and the condition of God's people determines the environment and the atmosphere of a nation.
To take God almost out of the curriculum. And Rashoti, in one of his great calypso says, you kick the creator out. They didn't want his name in them out.
Hi, I'm Reverend Valerie Ramkalawan from the Christ Approved Revival Tabernacle. You can tune on every first and last Wednesday of the month on ACTN The Voice. And I'm there 10:30 p.m. 15 minutes, you can tune on and you can be filled with the word of the Lord. Come on and be a part of this station in Jesus' name. God bless you.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to another edition of Scoreboard here on ACT, and it's always a pleasure to be in your company every Tuesday evening between the hours of 8 and 9.
Welcome to the new season of Football 101. I am your host, Joshua DeMatos.
Well, it's time for your weekly football news update. I love you, Messi.
Unfortunately, kiss the badge, kiss the badge. Oh, what's that?
Welcome to this edition of The Interview, and as you can see, I'm not alone on the set. I have Marcus, a Liverpool fan, and I have Shakir.
All right, welcome back to Cloud 9 on ACT and The Voice. We're going to jump right into a discussion about the legislation that will be tabled in Parliament this Friday, the anti-terrorism bill. And it's about ISIS. And again, we're seeing coming together with the opposition and government to deal with this. I gather you are optimistic, like everyone else, about what could happen from Friday.
Well, on Friday, I think the Attorney General has indicated it will come and lay the first reading of the anti-gang, of the anti-terrorism bill. Act, and then I'm assuming the following Friday it would be debated. The opposition leader, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, has indicated, really and truly, we want to believe that the anti-terrorism bill that is being brought by the Attorney General was on initiation from Kamala Persad-Bissessar when she wrote the Prime Minister of really asking him to have bipartisan discussions on both pieces of legislation, the anti-terrorism and bringing back the anti-gang bill back to Parliament. And we would support bringing those two pieces of legislation. Again, we would support good legislation, and once it does not infringe the rights of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and really, it is really designed to get the bad elements off the street. That is, to put it that way. The anti-terrorism bill, for what it was laid by the Attorney General in February, I think the 13th of February 2017. He didn't debate it, it lapsed, so it's now being brought forward in this session. So hopefully that when the bill is debated, if it doesn't have any major changes to what was laid in 2017, there are some areas of that bill that we feel need some amendments because it infringes on the rights of the people. And once we have that healthy bipartisan, we'll also be asking for a joint select committee. When it goes to a joint select committee, what it does is that you're able to bring the lower house and the upper house, the Senate and the lower house together with members from the independent senators, opposition, government. They will sit in a joint select, and the powers of the joint select is that you're able to bring stakeholders to those meetings and ask them certain questions. You're able to bring the Commissioner of Police to say, well, what is your take on this, the DPP, if he has any issues with it, the strengths and weaknesses of the bill, the Law Association, and so on. So when you go into a joint select, what happens, really, it is really a bipartisan discussion taking place. You get better discussions because you're not in the Gael, as they say. And you're really working for the good of the country in a joint select committee. especially for those pieces of legislation that are so critical for the nation and for the people as a tool for the police.
I know you would have done your own research heading into Friday, and if you wish to divulge, what are some of the key areas that you hope would be addressed in this legislation as it pertains to ISIS? And of course, one of the major contending issues would be these individuals returning home.
Correct.
You know.
And what the leader of the opposition is saying, that we hope that there's proper monitoring mechanisms in place for those returning nationals back into the country, because you remember that these individuals, even though it might be individuals who might have been in a battleground per se, and you might have carried their family, all are returning home. And we are hoping that the proper mechanism in place for monitoring these individuals. The other thing that I would like to personally see in it is what is utilized in Denmark and Belgium, where there is a sort of a process of consultation where you meet with the individuals to sort of put them through a mentoring, de-radicalizing them, bringing them back into the system, and try to work with them to see, because they would have been out there, the family would have seen certain things, the children would have seen certain things.
So that kind of detoxify their minds.
Correct. Yeah. And I did some research, and it's being utilized in Denmark and Belgium with some success. And then the next step forward is that the government of the day, whoever that is, has to really ask themselves, when these people come back home, what do they do? How do they integrate themselves back into society to be productive citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? Because one has to ask, why did they leave in the first place? What was the reasons for leaving? Right?
Issue that came up as well. If a spouse decides that she was forced to go with her husband and she chooses to return, and would she also be facing 25 years imprisonment? Someone asked that question.
Well, I think the fines,
every case would be different.
The Attorney General has put in place is a process before you get into that system. Right? It talks about when you leave the country, you have to actually state if you're going into these hotspot zone international areas, you have to identify that you're going and what is the reason that you're going to. One might say you might be on a trip somewhere and then visit some family there. But on your return, you also have to state that you were out there in those particular countries that are designated by the United Nations as I would say, hotspot countries.
We have about 1 minute before we close. Anything you'd like to say to the public at this time, or even your constituents, or the country at large, those who, many are literally living in fear because of this ISIS threat? What would you say to them at this time as someone in public office and representing, of course, thousands of individuals?
It is something that we need to be wary of. It's another aspect but given all the challenges that we are going through in Trinidad and Tobago, we are going through a lot, and with the crime, and now we have this another aspect of anti-terrorism. And we have to be cautious. It is up to the government, both opposition and government, working together to put legislation in place that will make the citizenry of Trinidad and Tobago a little bit more comfortable, security-wise, and have one less thing to worry about. I want to give the assurance of the viewers out there that the opposition stands ready to work with this government in ensuring good legislation is passed for all citizens to keep them safe and make them feel safe in this blessed island of Trinidad and Tobago.
Dr. David Lee, pleasure as always.
Pleasure as always. Sure.
We'll do a part 3 after Friday, right?
Anytime.
The Deputy Political Leader of the United National Congress, Dr. David Lee, thank you so much for sharing with us on this issue of crime and politics. I hope someday we wouldn't have to say it and it would not roll off our tongue, but we see it every social media and people speak so openly and very concerned about that relationship, and people want to see a divorce, as he won divorce, we wouldn't mind seeing. Yeah, nice. So good. So thanks again. All the best to you and, of course, the opposition party and all that you are doing within the landscape and the fabric of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you very much. This has been Cloud 9 on ACT and The Voice. I am Sheldon Yeo. Take care of yourselves and each other. Keep on smiling even in the storm. God bless you.